Thank you.
First of all, let me acknowledge it's a great privilege to be here, especially with some of those on this panel, Dr. Dogo, Dr. Patutomi, the senator, great man. I can see the great lady from the Niger Delta, Nico Briggs, and so many others. And I think it's a wonderful gathering, a wonderful initiative. Just as I believe that the handshake across the Niger was also another wonderful initiative. It's good that the youth have finally come together to try to fix the problems of this country. And also the fact that they've recognized that the man who is running the affairs of our nation has divided us more than any other in the history of our country, has brought all those, what you described or others described as primordial instincts out of all of us, and has made us believe that there's a distinct possibility that we may not be able to enjoy the unity that the founders of this nation dreamt of ab initio right at the start. The reality is that Buhari has taken us into a place and into a position that, you know, that is unsustainable. And he has also clothed his ethnicity, his ethnicism, his religious tendencies, he's clothed it with bad governance, incompetence, brutality, and tyranny. And that's why we are where we are. And it took the youth to rise up and bring the whole nation to a standstill and say, look, we're not so interested in ethnic issues. We're not so interested in religion. We're not interested in that. All we want is to be able to live at peace, not to be brutalized by the police, not to be killed at will, and to have the chance of a good life. That is what they've managed to achieve. And they've brought that issue to the forefront, to the front burner. And that's a great thing. Now, the reality is this, that quite apart from the fact that Buhari exhibited last night his total disdain and contempt for the aspirations of the people of this country, and his lack of respect for the youth, and his lack of respect for life itself, where mass murder has taken place, people have been slaughtered in the streets of Lagos, children are killed, he didn't even acknowledge that. But that will tell you his mindset.
I told you. I should have this for you.
I'm not sure if you're with me. Are we back now? Okay. Sorry. Hello? Hello? It's cut off. I can't hear.
Yeah, please go on. Please go on. We can hear you.
There was a
loud and clear. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. So what I was trying to say was that we have a twofold problem here. The first full problem is the fact that we have bad governance, a very, very hard-hearted soul, a pharaoh-like figure running the affairs of our nation, which has pushed the youth to the wall, and which is a situation that must be addressed, and he hasn't addressed it yet. Mass murder, ethnic cleansing, genocide, the slaughter of children, crimes against humanity. That is what is going on in Nigeria today. And no explanations, no arrests, no detentions, no explanations from anybody at any level. And the youth have shown us the way that this sort of thing is not acceptable. So that's the first problem we have. But quite apart from that problem, we cannot run away from the fact that we have other problems as well. And those other problems are fundamental. And the first issue is, are we really interested in continuing in this contraption? Now, I may be as an individual, others may not be, and we need to address that issue as well somewhere along the line. And if we are interested in staying together as a nation, on what terms? Can we not devolve power from the center? Can we not restructure? Are these questions that we must never ask? And a situation whereby whenever there is any kind of issue in the country, certain people from a certain part of the country will push youth out in the streets to kill people and intimidate others and say that if it's not their way, nothing will happen and everybody will die, is unacceptable. And we're saying enough of that. Now, I want to just end this small intervention with this point, which is a very important point I'm about to make. The killings have not just started now. The killings have been going on for the last 5 years. Slaughter all over the country. In the Middle Belt, where Dogo comes from. In the East, where Senator comes from. In the Niger Delta, where Aniko comes from. All over this country, over the last 5 years, even in the core north itself. I happen to be a title chief of Shinkafi in Zamfara. I was there recently, and only 2 days ago, 22 people were slaughtered in one of the local government areas in Zamfara state. Before this governor came in, Under the last governor, we had 300 to 500 people being slaughtered every day in Zamfara State. The same in Katsina, the numbers may not be so high, the same in Sokoto. So it's not limited to any area. But the fact is that Nigeria has been an abattoir of bloodshed, slaughter over the last 5 years. And nobody seemed to care. And the traditional way of looking at this amongst our people was that, look, as long as it doesn't affect your own people, why should you bother? And many would say, look, after all, why are you bothering with the Igbos? You're not an Igbo person. Others will say, why are you bothering with the Middle Belters? Why are you bothering with this? Why are you bothering with that? Forgetting that when you slaughter an Igbo child or deprive an Igbo person of his rights, or you slaughter a Northern Christian or a Northern Muslim, or you slaughter a Niger Deltan or deprive him of his resources, or you kill anybody anywhere in this country, it affects us all as Nigerians. And I think that's the spirit that your youth of today have inculcated, that people were killed, people were deprived of their rights, people were being slaughtered all over the country. And they came out and said, it's nothing to do with where you come from or your faith, but it's everything to do with the fact that life is important and life is sacred. And if we really want to make progress, I have to put it to you, and I'll use this opportunity to make this call. President Muhammadu Buhari must be asked to resign because mass murder has taken place under his watch over the last 5 years. That's the first point. The second point is that once that happens, and once that is done, we need to sustain our democracy in a peaceful way, and we need to ensure that we answer the national question. We need to restructure, devolve power from the center, and we need to ensure that we move forward as a nation. And where people say that they do not want to remain in this nation, we need to show them love and try to win them over. And if they still insist on going, they have the right of self-determination once a referendum has taken place. If you say people don't have that right, then it's a fundamental problem because you're coming up against a mindset and a feeling and a position that a lot of people don't share. So, having said this, I think that it's a good thing. I commend the youth. I commend all those that have stood up. I also commend the fact that so many people have died over the last week. Look, let me just quickly end with this one. Lekki, they are saying nothing happened. They're saying nobody was killed. When the reality is that we know people were killed. Those children were killed. They're covering it up. And what type of country is this when this sort of thing can happen and nobody will talk? Nobody will talk. Nobody will say anything. This is an impeachable offense, whether anybody likes to accept it or not. And I would have expected people in the Senate and in the House to stand up and challenge the president. I saw MPs in the United Kingdom, young Nigerian MPs of Nigerian descent, on protests at the House of Commons yesterday, making passionate speeches. I saw young middle class speaking out and challenging us all as leaders and saying, where have you been? Why have you not done something about this? And challenging the president and asking him to resign. How many of our politicians have done that? How many of our leaders have done that? How many of them have had the courage to speak truth to power? Quite a number have, but not nearly enough. And I believe that we need to stand up, speak truth to power, and say enough is enough, and join the youth in this protest as long as it's peaceful and as long as it is something that is being done in a reasonable, rational way. Having said, I think that's what